Hello, wonderful people. Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and today I'm going to be doing a live review of the new remix compilation, remix package kind of thing here from Must Die, Crisis Vision Redux. Yes, here we go. Remix package for one of the most celebrated bass albums of the year so far. Crisis Vision from Must Die, an album that I would have to say is growing on me the more I hear it. Yep, I would say that, bit by bit kind of thing. And looking forward to this remix compilation, some big names on display. Hoping that we're going to get some of these originals refashioned in new and interesting and innovative ways, which I'm sure is going to be the case because there are 13 of them. So a bit of a stealthy remix comp we've got right here, and I haven't heard any of them yet. And that is what I'm going to be doing right here, right now in this video. Hearing them all, reacting, reviewing, all of that, providing comment along the way. You know how we do by now. Well, let's go. First up, we have Must Die's very own Redux VIP version kind of thing of Nihilism Begins at Home. I do definitely wonder how different this one's going to be from the original. Pretty similar so far. Pretty similar. Fake out again. Pretty similar to the original, if I'm being honest. You know, not loads of changes going on there from what I could hear. And I think with VIPs, I do appreciate that. I do like that when you have the opening at least being pretty much identical, which means that when you might hear it, when you might stumble across it on shuffle, for example, or you might hear it live, you don't actually know which version you're going to get, which is quite cool to me. You know, I enjoy that. I think the perfect example of that would be Internet Friends VIP from Knife Party. You know, the way that the opening is just pretty much identical. I think it is identical, and that kind of leaves you guessing in the build as to which one you're going to get, which version, which is cool. I appreciate that. I do like that. But, of course, it does carry on a lot of the things that don't quite hit the mark from the original for me. You know, the idea, slightly different, a bit of a different layout of sounds and whatnot. You know, there's a bit of difference there, but again, the production overall for me, as with the original, just not being that sharp, and the idea itself just coming off as a bit meh, a bit bland, and just not feeling that inspired, not particularly innovative for Must Die, and you know, what we know he can do. The level of invention he has with his artistry. So, yeah, I mean, a couple of changes here and there. I think the outro might have been a bit different as well, but for the most part, again, here, just coming off as a bit ordinary. And for me, not really doing all that much, again, considering what he can do. So, I can't really say anything more than just, it's fine. Yeah, just feeling a bit basic to me, as with the original. Yeah. Next up, we have the Abstract remix of Lol OK. Is this just going to be a classic Abstract bass house kind of tune? Definitely seeming that way so far. Ooh. Oi. Yeah, I mean, decent so far, pretty much what you'd expect, like I said earlier. It is a bop, like, it's infectious, like, the movement of it, can't help but just give it one of them. I did kind of want him to incorporate the do. I think that would have worked sick over a house beat, but this keeps it quite basic. I don't know. I think pretty much as expected with that tune, and for me, there's two ways of looking at it, in my opinion. I think on the one hand, you could say that it's a bit of a shame, a bit of a letdown that he didn't incorporate the proper, full, like, little melodic bit from the original. The do 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 that wasn't in the heaviness, I think, was a bit of a shame, and just keeping it to do 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 do, which is what we got there. Just kept it, I don't know, just had a bit of a basic feel to it again, just felt quite straightforward, not that adventurous, and not playing about with the notes we get in that mini little melody there. But then again, you could say, well, it would have perhaps been even more basic if he had just refashioned that main melody, that little clip, that do 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 do, and put a house beat underneath it. That would have maybe been even more basic, and what he does there is actually playing around with it a little bit and doing something that you might not expect. So yeah, two different ways of looking at it. It depends which way you want to go down, which kind of avenue, which direction with it. For me, it just coming off as a little bit plain, and could have played about with it a little bit more. But the production was good, I enjoyed that, the flow of it, the bounce, the bop, all that kind of stuff. What you usually get with Abstract House was very much there, and it had the foundation, you know, all the kind of basic stuff, very on point. Just maybe could have been a bit more adventurous for me with what it was doing with the melody in those drops. But yeah, that'd be my thoughts on that one. After that, we have Fuck Your Style Sizzy Remix. Really good build, liking this build a lot. That first drop wasn't massive on the idea, but the range of sounds there, very good. The production as well. And this upbeat midsection, going back into the original build we got in the first half as well. Awesome. Really liking that. These wavy and windy bits are pretty sick. Solid tune, and one that I can imagine enjoying more as I hear it again for sure, you know, in particular those wavy, windy, industrial kind of sounds that we got in the progression of each drop. Very good, very infectious, and yeah, I can just imagine getting into that stuff a lot more as I hear this tune again and again, which I think I will be doing. I think the first half of each drop came off as a bit inactive, I suppose, would maybe be the word, just not really doing all that much as an idea, but having the definition of sound being fantastic and the range of sounds. That whole, again, industrial kind of clang, just permeating the heaviness for the whole thing. Very good, very, very good, and just really did have a proper Sizzy feel to it. Like, you could really feel his whole aesthetic and design just kind of radiating off the whole tune, which was great. And that great production level was kept up throughout the heaviness, and also in the other sections we got as well. I think initially with the introduction, it just started off as fine. It was okay from what I remember. Nothing particularly remarkable in that section, but then as it went on, the build, fantastic, riveting, captivating, a lot going on, and all cohering very well. And then also the midsection that we got, which was a bit, you know, very upbeat actually. And then, well, did it have a bit of a, it wasn't quite a psytrance situation, but it had that kind of pace to it, you know. And that was very good for kind of seizing the attention in that midway moment. That was good. Overall here, a lot going on, a lot being brought together in terms of the arrangement, and it all coheres again. It all has a very cohesive feel to it, and the progression of it works, and the heaviness for me in the progressions being particularly on point and infectious and memorable. So yeah, a lot going for that one, and would have to be my pick so far. Good stuff from Sizzy. Moving on from there, we have the Tramper remix of Life Suck. Yeah, this one's good for Tramper. That whole rave element, he's incorporated that into his music for years now. So yeah, this one makes sense on the surface, you know. That creeping percussion in the build. We know and love him for it. Liking that clap. Yeah, I mean, it's just vintage Tramper for the most part. This is a very Tramper drop, as you could all hear. I mean, he is refashioning the original in a very effective way, I think. You know, the elements he's bringing over from the original, I think he's doing so very well. Very well. Whether it's anything new for him on the heaviness front, I don't think I can sit here and say that, like, we've heard that drop from him time and time again, that like, honestly, at least 10 times by now. That being said, again, he is incorporating the rave elements, he's incorporating the main melody, just all the little bits, you know, from the original, and doing it in his own style, so in many ways that's what you want in a remix. Fake out again. I think I've said everything already that I have to say here. I mean, standard Tramper drops, heard them before. But then on the other hand, he does refashion the original completely in his own way, and it sounds distinctly like him, and loads of great elements being carried over here from that original. Maybe would have enjoyed and appreciated a bit more invention, just to, you know, do something a bit different for him and for his style and all of that. We have heard that kind of drop from him just so many times by now. The exact same layout as well, that just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, we've heard it time and again, but he does just put his own spin on so many different bits from the original in such a cool way, and I think I appreciate that about it a lot. So again, it's a thing of deciding which kind of road you want to go down with it. I think for me, with the drops being the focal moments here, they're kind of difficult to ignore and play quite a big part in the tune overall. An introduction here or there, or a midsection here or there, can be a bit easier to ignore, but, you know, with those being at the forefront of the tune, yeah, you can't quite get around the fact for me that, you know, they play a big part and it isn't anything particularly new from him. But the surrounding stuff, the surrounding cast, if you will, the supporting sections and background touches and whatnot, are all sensational. So again, just depends which way you want to look at it from Tramper here, his remix of Life Suck. Then we have the Night Punk remix of Don't Even Bother. Across to me a bit like it doesn't quite know what it's going for, what its motive is, what the aim is here, the goal, the ideas overall. Can't say I'm getting loads out of that one, if I'm being honest. It just had a bit of an odd feel to me for pretty much the whole thing. Musically, ideas-wise, I think the production was good. And if you're looking for just a good dose of Night Punk's gritty breaks kind of style, then you're going to enjoy it for that for sure. And that is the good that I do enjoy about it. You know, it's got that raw feel to it. Definitely sounds like him, but the ideas just feel so weird, so odd. Like they didn't quite have, again, an idea in mind or a motive, an aim, a goal. Like it just felt like an outlay of sound without anything particularly that it was going for or that it was trying to do. Like there are maybe a few gaps that need filling, or just more stuff going on, more flavour, more just excitement to the idea overall. And musically as well, I think I touched on it earlier, but it just felt a bit, also again a bit weird and a bit odd, just some of the twisting of the melody and the main vocal sample and stuff like that. It just didn't quite have that fulfilled feel to it. Like it didn't quite feel finished to me. Felt very much like a demo and not something that, again, just had a clear thing that it was going for. But yeah, that would have to be my thoughts on that one. Just feeling a little bit confused by it, I have to be honest. After that, we have the Good Times Ahead remix of Sorrow Tech. This one's interesting. I wonder how they're going to refashion the original, what they're going to do. Oh, okay. Bringing that bit in the build. Oh! Oi! Okay. Good fun so far. The first drop I'm preferring a bit more than the second one. The second one was just a bit meh, a bit bland, but first one, you know, it was quite fun hearing the main melody and the drop being refashioned in that way. That was cool. Blimey, what's going on here? Oh, that is rough. That is rough. Okay. Bottom line, I think that is quite a good way to do that original. Yeah, a bit more upbeat, a bit more kind of festival influenced and driven. I think that is cool. And a good track to get as well at this point when the ones before I think almost entirely have just been quite heavy, quite just mostly very dubsteppy, and this is just putting a bit more EDM kind of mainstream flavour in there, if you get me, which is good. I welcome that as a kind of stylistic change for the album at this point. It is good. But that is not to say that there isn't material here that I'm not a fan of. I think the first half was quite a bit better than the second for me. Well, I mean, the first 2/3 in comparison to the final third. Yeah, the first drop was very upbeat. Really enjoyed how that main part from the drop in the original was refashioned and redone. Just a bit upbeat, again, a bit of a festival, tribal, primal kind of vibe to it. That was cool. The second drop that followed that was a bit weirder, felt a bit inactive, not quite enough going on, but still with a bit of flavour in there, you know, still quite fun and bubbly, jumpy, all of that. And then the final drop, the second main drop we got was just all kinds of wrong for me, in my opinion. Yeah, the production there, the execution. It was some kind of muffled dubstep kind of take, and up to that point, what we're appreciating about it is the fact that it isn't dubsteppy. It's a bit of a change for the album at that point, and it's not overly heavy, all of that. But it does end up going down that route, sacrificing the fun of it, in my opinion, and it just wasn't really needed when they could have just kept the pace up, kept up the flavour of it, just that upbeat feel, which was very refreshing for the album at this point, but yeah, it just goes down the dubstep route and it doesn't quite come off for me. Just feeling a bit rough overall. A couple of nice moments here and there, but yeah, just the execution for the most part, just sounding a bit rough. Loses its spark for me as it goes on. But that's just my take, having heard it once, the Good Times Ahead remix of Sorrowtech. After that, the Jaqui remix of Body Scream. Yeah, not much to say about that one, if I'm being honest, beyond a lot of the production being very good. Well, in particular, in the second half, when it was a lot more rounded and kind of full and alive and rich, you could really feel that. The little neuro kind of sounds that were woven in, they were great. And the second drop switch up, I think, was good. But beyond that, not much to remark on, if I'm being honest. I mean, there was some nice arrangement in the first drop, but it just had quite a muffled feel to it with the execution, which I found quite distracting. And it was quite short, this tune, and not borrowing loads from the original. I think it was just quite short, and there just wasn't enough space within that time frame that Jaqui has gone for here to really just unleash that original in a new way. It just feels a bit narrowed, this tune. Like, it's got potential. These ideas that could have been extended, drawn out, built on, and that just wasn't quite done with this original. It just isn't quite long enough to really leave a mark, do something notable, noteworthy, just feeling a little bit ineffective and not quite him in full flow, I would say. Just not that much that is distinctive, memorable, and just full of personality, really, or character is what I would say about it. Quite straightforward. Yeah, that's my take on that one. After that, we have the Bad Clot remix of Hellburst. I mean, the ideas aren't anything special in that first half, but I think the production's good, and the way he's refashioning the original is quite clever, I think, in parts. Clearly playing about with the melody, the vocal sample, little bits here and there, just dropping it into the heaviness, like, quite clever. Again, a decent enough cut, I think. Maybe was wanting or even expecting just a bit more invention here from Bad Clot, given the last few months that he's had, the experimentation that he's done, and just how out there and adventurous he's been with his artistry, you know, with his music. And again, in the last kind of half year or so, maybe even a year, can't quite remember. But anyway, yeah, he's been doing different stuff in recent times, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I was wondering whether a bit of that would come in here, but I mean, the drops, they are quite straightforward. They're a bit samey. A lot of what he's done before, kind of thing, again, kind of similar to Tramper, just that stomping, rhythmy kind of thing. But that being said, I think the production is very good, where it hasn't been before from him. Got a very sharp and mechanical feel to it, which is good. The range of sounds in that heaviness I think is quite good as well. The layering here, just how much is going on, it makes for quite a beefy sound, which is good. And again, he hasn't had that before in various points here and there with his music. And he did bring in quite a bit from the original as well, you know, toying with it, you know, putting it in different parts of the drops and the melody and the vocal sample as well. So he was putting his own spin on the original there for sure, refashioning it and whatnot, but did maybe just want a bit more ingenuity, a bit more invention, a bit more, just a couple more sparks to the heaviness and the main ideas we got there. Not much more to say beyond that. Quite straightforward with good bits of recycling from the original in his style here and there. So, yeah. Following that, we have the Slippy remix of Era. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, got a fucking attitude, this one. Got an aggression to it, just very forthright with what it's going for, like just so in your face and gnarly, like, yeah. Getting some good feeling from this one. It's getting me going, getting me fired up. Yeah. Ooh. Oi. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, back into that. Ooh. Damn, that's good. Miling away my pick here so far, absolutely 100%. Definitely did take a little while to get going, just to get the cogs in action kind of thing. And that extends into the first half of the first drop, which for me just could have had a bit more of a beefiness behind it. And to it, with the backdrop, I think the snare, yeah, just had a bit of a small kind of cut-off feel to it, whereas something maybe just a bit more expansive and a bit larger, again, just a bit beefier, could have just amped that idea up a lot more when the idea was very good. I did enjoy it, you know, had, from what I remember, had a bit of an airy feel to it, quite scaled with what it was going for there. But yeah, it could have just had a bit more beef beneath it. But oh my word, I mean, the way it picked up. First off with the progression of that first drop, which was captivating, riveting, just completely seizes your attention. Very amazing arrangement, and the amount of sounds just kind of flying off here and there. Just very well put together, scything and incisive with what it was going for, and just quite ambitious. You know, the idea, I'm not sitting here like it's special or anything like that, but it's just got those little touches here and there that are going to make you remember it. And having that, I can escape, just at the end of each mini section, it's just a very good way of bringing you back in, which is a very good thing to have brought over from the original, just keeps it catchy and memorable. Then we had a kind of mid-section that had a bit of a, I suppose, a bit of a trancey feel to it, like, yeah, very reaching up to the heavens kind of vibe, quite ethereal feeling, but still very upbeat, and enjoyed that a lot. The musicality in that, very good. And then that carried on really effectively into the second drop, and the first half we got of that. Yeah, production good. Again, that scaled up feel just felt very euphoric, and yeah, just full of life and exuberance. Just good feeling, whilst also having a bit of an emotional tinge to it, if you get me. And then just that brilliant sense of continuity from the first drop in bringing and replicating, well, bringing over and repeating the progression from the first drop in the second drop, which was just, yeah, a great bit of continuity for the tune overall. Doing pretty much all the right things front to back. Even in the sections that aren't quite as on point, they've still got a lot of good going for them. And the arrangement here, very good. The range of sounds, fantastic. The different ideas being brought together. It's just got a very complete feel to it and with a lot going on. So yeah, definitely my pick here so far on the album from Slippy. Yeah, top stuff. Then we have the Tainan remix of Choose One. Yeah, that. Just sounds so flat. Like, the idea is good. Again, the sounds being brought in here, how they're cut, is sick, but you can't tell me that doesn't sound flat. Like, ooh. Ooh. Okay. Oi! 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 Ooh! Woo! Okay! Oi! Ah! Woo! I mean, if ever there was a tune that you would just sit back and be like, damn, that really is just a tale of two halves. And you might be a bit confused by what I mean with that. One thing in the first half and then the completely different thing in the second half. And yeah, that is just that track, that remix from Tainan, basically summed up and to a T, in my opinion. Like, the first half, even though the arrangement, very good, the excitement of it, just the idea itself, very good, I think. But the execution just so flat, like, has a really, really deflated feel to it, and that is going to take away completely, for me, from the idea we get, you know, just something that sticks out with that heaviness. But then, I mean, the tune just goes on to become one of the most punchy and clear, crisp and sharp tunes, or sections even, that we've got on the compilation so far. Of course, they're going for different things, but yeah, just the second half is way cleaner, and it just sounds a lot better. A tale of two halves, very much there from Tainan for me. After that, we have the Tisoki remix of Nerve Damage. Give it to me. Oh! 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 Okay! Man said baseline for drop, and he wasn't playing about. Oi! Ooh, this one flamey boy! Wee-ya! Okay. That's my only issue with it, honestly, the fact that it's so short. I mean, some people might say, you know, the fact that it is short works for it, makes it more explosive, and just makes it short, snappy, to the point, which is a point in itself. I do hear that very much, but maybe just a bit of a midsection, maybe just a bit more drawn out this tune, maybe just another drop going on. I personally would have loved that, just another drop to, accentuate the other stuff we've got here, which is so good. Like, again, man said bass line for drop, and the bass line just came right in. Like, that is some proper, you know, UK kind of style, but super, you know, super shiny, defined, rounded feel to the production. You know, a lot of stuff of that kind that I've heard over the last couple of years or so, it does fall flat, and it doesn't quite have that beefed up feel to the production, which just makes it, you know, you don't get the full feeling from the idea, but that, I mean, the layering there, the amount that's going on just to make that very whole, chunky, mechanical, metallic sound is fucking great. And the way that the vocal was dropped in, the idea itself, just the shininess and the radiance of the idea, like just fucking glaring out at you, like it's so good for that. Very effective for what it's going for, and Tisoki proving again, I think, that he can do pretty much any genre. I mean, that was pretty clear. That was clear up to this point, but it's even clearer now. You know, the guy is just a machine when it comes to experimentation and trying stuff out, and it's always going to have that very clean, sharp and incisive production and, you know, just design and approach overall. So yeah, it could have been longer, but what it does do, it does extremely well, and another one of my picks here, no doubt and for sure. And ultimately, we have the Ulasile and Ominous remix of Delete It All. There are things I can appreciate about it. I do like the rock influence here. Just kind of building on the raspy feel of that original vocal. Yeah, building on that, layering on that, just taking that influence and just, you know, really running with it, which was cool. We got that little midsection moment with the guitars and the drums, which was, yeah, you know, quite ambitious for this. For music coming from this scene, basically, you know, a nice little idea to drop in there, that was cool. And it does clearly take from the original, but I think that might be my main issue with it, because the original, the more I hear it, the more I can't really hear it, if that makes sense. Like, it's just too much. It's just a lot for my ears to take. Like, it's very abrasive, very harsh, and it just comes off as a bit of a mess to me. I'm gonna have to say it. Not just the abrasiveness of the vocal and what comes with that, but it's just the progression of it and the way these ideas are brought together and the way that some of them are executed. Also, just dubstep-wise overall, like that final drop is just, I don't know, the EQing, the mix of sounds going on there, nothing really shining through, just coming off as very grating and harsh and just overblown. Yeah, just struggling to get that much out of this one, even though there is quite a bit going on. Comes off as a bit of a mess and a tune that doesn't quite make much sense, if any, from start to finish, you know, as a movement from one section to another. Yeah, that's gonna be my thoughts on that one. Finally here today, we have the company remix of Wherever You Go. classic double drop Riddim moment incoming. First drop was some of the most basic, straightforward, Riddim-y kind of material that I've heard in a while. I mean, the production was good, but yeah, I mean, you've done that before many a time. Like, what new is that bringing? Double drop was good, to be fair, a bit more jumpy, a bit more bubbly, a bit more inventive. But yeah, similar kind of vibe. I am loving how the main bits from the original are being refashioned here. I love that a lot. Classic company for the most part. The Riddim-y outlay, you know, bits of flavour jumping out here and there. In particular, in the follow-up drop, in the double drop we got. But yeah, quite ordinary with the heaviness for the most part. Not bringing that much new with him, invention-wise, for his style, all of that. I did really enjoy, actually, the production in that heaviness. I think, you know, he's done that kind of thing before, but it's had a bit more of a flat feel. It's felt a bit more deflated. But that felt very punchy, very rounded, and, you know, that's good for him. I think he's improved quite a lot in the last year or so on that front. So, yeah, production good, ideas just a bit samey, a bit basic, a bit straightforward. Aside from that, I really enjoyed here how parts of the original were dropped in and what they kind of constituted as in this remix. Like, I think the main idea from the original became the introduction here and a part of the build from what I remember. And then the outro, you know, played the same kind of, a similar kind of role as with the original, you know, just the outro kind of playing out. But it had the feeling of being a midsection before fading out with the outro, that final sequence of the album and of this remix album. So yeah, cleverly done, I think, with the arrangement and what sections we get here. But you know, when you kind of boil it down, it's just another one of those tunes that, well, are quite trendy in dubstep at the moment, of just having a big intro, a big outro, and then having a main drop, then a follow-up drop, a double drop, second drop, whatever you want to call it, and then just fading out, pretty much. So, yeah, following the trend that is very much rife at the moment, and the ideas that we get here, the focal points, not really enthralling, in spite of, you know, having good little bits of flavour here and there, and the production being pretty good overall. So, yeah, it's got good for it, this tune, but not special, far from that, and quite ordinary, you know, at its core, I would say. So yeah, that's going to be my thoughts on that closer from Company. But overall, having heard it once, what do I make of it? Crisis Vision Redux. Well, one thing I have just noticed here is that we get each tune from the original album just remixed once, and in the same order of the original album as well, which I think is really cool. And I love when a remix package or compilation, whatever you want to call it, does that. I think it's the best. It's the best way. It's the most effective way of respecting and paying kind of homage to the original album or the original piece of work, whatever it may be. The one thing that is kind of sticking in my mind at the moment is wondering whether I'm finding any of them a bit rushed. I think when it comes to remix compilations, you have quite a definite time frame within which you can make your remix if you are remixing for the compilation. So yeah, I'm wondering here whether some of them are feeling just a little bit rushed, but I would say they are in the minority. I think generally here, well, production-wise in particular, these tunes are fantastic. Like, that is where you can really hear the high standard. And for me also, there's a lot of very good refashioning of the original ideas. I think we get that a lot throughout, you know, even though we don't get, for me, loads of whole tunes here that are fantastic front to back. I do think that in little moments here and there, in pretty much every tune here, maybe barring a couple, yeah, a lot of the refashioning, a lot of the bringing over of the original ideas is very, very good. For me, though, not a lot of material here that is special. Not a lot that is, I think, truly memorable, that I'm wowed by. You know, I've only heard them once, of course, and I think a couple of them, maybe a fair few of them, maybe, you know, 4 or 5 or so, will grow on me a lot more as I hear the compilation again and again. But my aching feeling here overall with the comp is just wanting a little bit more. I do feel like I'm left wanting just a little bit more. You know, there's a fair few quite a few tracks here that aren't just aren't going above and beyond and are quite ordinary with their concepts and what they're going for, or just feeling a bit like they're not really sure what the direction of their tune is, or the aim or the goal of their ideas, that kind of thing. Overall, I would say I expected a little bit more invention at this level. You know, we're talking about, lest we forget, the biggest label, at least one of the biggest labels in bass music. But that being said, there is some great stuff here for sure, no doubt. And on that note, I think my absolute picks here, my tops of the 13, would have to come from Slippy, Tisoki, Sizzy, and Abstract just about, I would have to say. But yeah, that'll be that for my live review, my instant thoughts, my reaction, and my overall comment on this new remix compilation package, whatever, from Must Die Crisis Vision Redux. But now, and as always, I want to hear from you guys. What are you making of Crisis Vision Redux overall? Do you enjoy it as a compilation? How much of it is excelling for you? How much of it maybe not so? And which ones of the 13 are your picks? Do you have 3 or 4 like me, or is it the majority, you know, 7+ kind of thing? But yeah, drop all of your views, your thoughts, your opinions in the comment section down below. Beyond that, keep it naughty. If it's naughty, then you know, and I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace.